Windows is the most vulnerable operating system, and this is why. So in this video, we are going to break into any Windows computer that we do have physical access to. So to be able to replicate what I'm doing in this video, we are going to need a couple of things. So the first thing we are going to need is a USB stick, and then we are going to make use of this tool here called Rufus. So it's actually very simple. What we have to do is we are going to get a file. So this is the file here, Windows Login Unlocker, and then we'll have to write this tool on a USB stick using this tool called Rufus. So it's a very simple process. You just have to run the tool, and on the website here, on the website, you see it has like images showing you exactly what you have to do. So it's actually very simple. You connect the USB flash onto your computer. You run this tool, you run the Rufus tool, and then once you run it, you see here the device here. You have to come here and select your USB stick that you plugged onto your computer. And then here for boot selection, this is where you're going to select the tool or whatever you want to write onto the USB stick. And in this case here, we're going to be using this tool. So yeah, that's basically it. You just have to select that here, and then I think the other settings are supposed to be default, or yeah, you could just go ahead and copy what you see on this picture. Again, it is found on your website, so you just configure it the same way you see on this picture, and you hit start. Once you hit start, you're going to see the progression bar is going to go and load right up to 100. So once that is done, you now have a USB stick with your tool that you want to use to break or to hack any Windows computer ready. So in this case here, I do have a Windows computer. So for example, let's say this is a Windows computer and we do not have access to the password. So you see, I'm trying the passwords, they are not going. So we're going to use this GitCodetech account as a use case here, and see, I'm going to try and enter the password. It just doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to power off this computer. Once the computer shuts down, what you are supposed to do here is you're gonna plug that USB stick onto the computer. So since I'm in a virtual environment here, I'm going to come here, I click here, and then once the window pops up, I'm going to hit connect to power on here, and then here I'm going to select the file that I want to boot into. So I'm doing this just because I'm in my lab environment, so I'm just kind of simulating exactly what you do in a real life environment. So in a real life environment, after you've prepared your USB stick, all you have to do is just to plug it onto the computer and then boot into the USB stick. So in this case here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit connect on start, and then I'm going to choose the ISO file I want to boot into. I'm going to hit browse, and then I'm going to choose the file. So this is the same file you wrote onto the USB stick. In this case, I'm just doing it in my computer, so no need to do that. So I'm just going to choose that file, and I hit OK. Now, the next step is to boot into your USB stick. So to boot into your USB stick, you just have to press the power button on the computer. Like the computers have to be turned off, and then you press the power button. And then it depends on the brand of the computer. So sometimes you may have to hit F12 as the computer is booting on. Sometimes on some computers it may be F2. So that depends. So all you have to do is to press the power button and then keep hitting, like just continuously hitting the F12 button or the F2 button, depending on what computer brand it is. And then you're going to boot into the BIOS options of that computer. So let me do that right here. So I'm going to hit the power on option, and I get ready to hit the F12 key. So I hit power button and then hit F12. So I'm hitting F12, I'm hitting F12, I'm hitting, and then now the computer will not boot into Windows. It's going to boot into the BIOS. Once you are into the BIOS, what you have to do is you have to look for the boot menu or the boot manager or the boot options. So I am on the boot options here. In my case, I'm going to boot into the CD-ROM, because remember at the start I selected the CD-ROM and I selected the file or the tool that we want to use. So in your case, you have to come right here and choose USB. So you're going to find USB on one of these options, and all you have to do is just to use the arrow keys on your keyboard and go where you have USB. In my case, I'm going to hit CD-ROM here. So once I hit that, it's going to say hit a key. So I'm going to hit any key, and then it's going to boot into the tool that we want to use here. So just give it a couple of minutes. Hopefully that works. Okay, so here is a tool. So once you are here, I think you're already halfway done. So all you have to do now is to do whatever you want to do. So remember at the start, I showed you a couple of accounts we have on that Windows computer. So this is the administrator account. This is a GitCode account. This is a test user account. So we have other accounts here, but you can see you have this little black arrow that shows that these accounts are disabled. So you could enable an account. So for example, if you wanted to enable this account, I'll just hit enable. And then when next you boot into this computer, you're going to see the default account active. If you want to enable this guest account, I just hit enable, and that's how the account is active. So let's say we have a computer with us and they wanted to break into the computer. What we'll do is we're going to get here, and then it is either we choose to enable an account and then use that account, but the account may not have a lot of privileges or may not permit us to do whatever we want to do on the computer. So what we may have to do is to reset a password of an existing account or the password of the administrator account. So in this case here, this is the administrator account. I'm going to hit right click. I'm just going to right click on it, and then you would see reset password. So if you reset the password, it's just kind of like it's going to clear the password, and it's going to be that account is going to have a blank password. If you use change password, then you can set a new password onto that computer, and then yeah, and that's basically it. Other things you could do is you could equally for example, you do not even want to tamper with the accounts, you just want to retrieve a file on the computer. What you could do is you could right here the drives on the computer are going to be listed, and all you have to do is just to maybe right click and hit File Explorer. So on the File Explorer, you see you have access to the drive C here. You could go into users, you could go into the user account, and whatever you want to do, you could just do it right there. So I'm just going to close this window, and then we are going to use this account. So this is the GitCode account. As you can see, it is part of the administrators group. So this account in essence can permit us to do whatever we want to do on the computer. So I'm going to right click here, and then I'm going to hit change password, and then I'm just going to set the new password to 1 2 3 4. I hit OK, and I hit OK. So now what is going to happen is the next time we boot this computer up, it's going to execute that task. That is, it's going to change the password of the GitCode user, and then we'll now be able to use the password that we just entered and log into the account. So without any waste of time, I'm just going to close the tool here, and then Windows is now going to try and boot into like unboot normally. So we're just going to give it a couple of seconds. So this is Windows booting. Just give it some time. So right now it is executing that task. As you can see, the command was completed successfully, so it did change the password. So yeah, so now we are on our Windows computer. So I'm going to get to the GitCode user, and then I'm going to try using a random password. You see that doesn't work, and then I'm going to now use the password that was created. That was 1 2 3 4. Oops, 1 2 3 4, and then hit enter, and there we go. This is how we successfully break into a Windows computer. So you shouldn't just have your computer line up, your laptop line up anywhere and think it is safe. So if somebody picks it up and they want to break into it, it's just a matter of minutes. So that's what I wanted to just present in this video. So just be wary of that. You could equally use this technique. If you forgot your password, then you could use this technique to kind of like reset the password or create a new password for yourself. But then you should be wary of the fact that anybody else that picks up your computer can use this same technique on it and then get an unauthorized access into your computer. So yeah, that is what I wanted to show on this video. If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.